So we are here today for actually our first podcast ever, What's Happening Chesco, and I am debuting it with the infamous Rick Wood, Westchester, spiritual oracle.
Psychic medium.
Yeah.
Intuitive life coach.
Okay. Yeah.
Dancer. No, I'm not a
dancer.
No, not at all.
You don't get dancy and fancy?
No, not this year.
So not this year. Rick, so thank you for coming on to the podcast today. I appreciate it. And what is like your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got all started in this whole.
Oh, geez. It wasn't like I woke up, one day and I said I was going to go to college, and I looked at my mother, Louisa, my father, Lee, and said, I want to be a psychic medium. Because my mother, who's from South America, would have went, oh, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. You're going to be a trash man before you'll do that. I started to get involved with communications. Mm-hmm. I opened up my own health food stores.
Okay.
And I did that for the longest time. But I always had this intuitive thing. When I was very, very young, I would hear voices, and right. My mother would go, oh, you just have an ear infection, I'd be like, I was very, very young.
Right.
And I would hear things beyond the wall. And my mother was from an area of Ecuador that had a lot of stuff of all of that kind. And she just kind of would have ignored it because, had a big Catholic upbringing. So she just said ignore it.
That was like taboo.
As I started to get older, I didn't really pay attention to that. I just like, you're having a bad dream. Don't worry about it. But I would see things come through the wall. We lived in a place in Washington, D.C., and one night, I think I was very young. I don't even remember. Maybe I was 5. And I saw this guy with a colonial hat on.
Right.
Some kind of hat that I didn't quite recognize, but I knew it was from back then. He goes through the wall, comes right to the edge of my bed, and stops and disappears. Another type of World War II, he had a netting on his helmet, walked to the edge of the bed and disappeared. Other people in different uniforms came to the edge of the bed and would disappear. And I wasn't scared. I was like, what is this?
Right. We're curious.
Mm-hmm. And my dad takes me for a walk the next day. And we're walking up this road, and I go, Dad, what's that? It's right at the top of our little hill there. He goes, oh, that's where the veterans are buried.
Oh, so your house was really close nearby.
Very close to that. And back then, that graveyard had been there for well over 100 and some years. So,
right.
But that was my first exposure to it.
And how old were you?
I was 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Then I ignored it after that. I just ignored it after that. And when I opened up the health food stores, I still was getting the nudge.
Huh.
I'd do meditation in the stores and all of that. And I was like, and some people knew I knew this. And they would come knocking on my door at the store well after it was closed. Can you have a reading with me? That kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I would be like, sure, I'll do that. And then one day I was like, this store's driving me nuts.
Right.
And I was doing a meditation, and I just said, God, listen, if you want me to be a psychic medium, then just make me the best one I can be.
Right.
That store was closed the next day.
Wow.
So
wow.
That's how I got started. So for the last 23 years, I've been doing this in Arizona, here, over the phone, in person, all of it. It's what I do. That sounded great.
Right. That's what you do. Right. So one of the things to make this very, very impromptu and kind of like off the grid a little bit than asking you just formal questions from this piece of paper, we have some questions over here that you're going to get to pick. I don't know what they are. So you get to pick.
Why y'all so weird?
Huh?
Why can't you just say, I'm sorry, I'll
just pick it. Because we like to be weird. That's why. I'll pick the next one. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, that's like tiny.
Can oracle cards predict the future, or do they just guide us towards making better decisions?
The answer for that, of course, would be Q. Oh, I'm sorry. Kidding. Oracle cards, I don't think I use a special deck of cards, and I have my own deck of oracle cards that will be out in the next 2 months.
Okay.
That I've done some work with. They're supposed to be guideposts. I'm not a big user of tarot.
Right.
I'd rather have a small representation of something and use my own intuition to guide it through rather than the hanging man means exactly this. And
Right.
so I think for someone who's doing some intuitive work, psychic work, oracle cards are the best for me. I know people who use playing cards.
Right. I've seen that before.
Done with that. God, I forget his name. His name was Leslie. I think he worked out in Delaware like 25, 30 years ago. He'd use playing cards.
Huh. Well, what's the difference between an oracle? What's the difference between an oracle and the tarot? Like, is there a difference?
Yes, there's a certain system to use the tarot deck. There's certain ways to interpret the cards.
Right.
When I use these oracle cards, that kind of thing, they're just a small representation. If the word says death, it doesn't mean that it's, you're going to die. It just means the end of something or however I perceive it to be. I prefer oracle. Many readers love tarot.
Right.
So, but
there's just different pictures on the card and what the meanings are.
Yes. Now, you'll always get kind of the same meaning for each tarot card. Oracle cards are just up to whoever made them up.
Right.
Like for me, I can't wink to mine. I don't want to even say that much, but the pictures on mine are perfect for the times.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, that's what I think.
Is there a particular card that you like, that you love, that you like when you pull it, you're just like, oh my God, this is like the best card?
Silence. Any card I pull out of the deck is my best card for that time. And it's funny that I pull this out because I've been going through periods of more silence, quiet time, getting back to me, that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, I don't have a favorite. It's whatever card
comes out. So is there a reading that you've done that just kind of stood out, that you were just like, oh my God, like you thought like it was going to be completely one way and it ended up a totally different way than what you like?
I have many, many stories about that.
Is there one in particular that stands out
that you can share? Yes, the one that started my career, basically.
Okay.
I was doing readings and I was getting ready to close the store, and I finally closed the store, and Dr. Janet McGorn, who's a chiropractor out of Westchester, had a place, I think, right near Marshall Street.
Okay.
Kind of where I am now.
Okay.
And she goes, why don't you come over to my office? You want to come over there? You can do the work. And I went, sure. And I took off. People started coming in.
I think that's where I met you.
And a woman contacted me, and she was a teacher.
Right.
She was very nice. She came to see me, and she walked into the office, and those people are so structured, they don't want to give away anything. So
they're just like all closed up.
Yeah, she's like this.
I have some clients like that, yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just could feel this little girl all around me. She was like dancing. It's like she's laying across me like that. She's doing this, she's doing that. I go, and I start talking to the mother, and the mother's eyes are getting bigger. I go, she really shouldn't be gone. It's stupid. Her mother's still looking at me, and I go, but you're going to help. You're going to speak in front of thousands on this. And I didn't know anything. I was just talking. It was more channeling than it was being mediumship. And her daughter had been prescribed something for, let's say, anxiety that should have been for depression.
Well, okay.
And there was even, as I talk on about this, there'll be more to it. Her daughter had died. Because she took her own life based upon
the medication.
The little girl was the sweetest. I mean, I have pictures of her in my office. Candace. Her name was Candace. Mm-hmm. And we kept misspelling her name wrong when I was taking notes or whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we said can dance, not Candace.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I think it was my ex at the time who was writing Candace, can dance. And I said, this is bad. She shouldn't have gone like this.
Right.
when the mom was upset because they're trying to fight. I didn't know any of this at the time, but they're trying to fight this problem. And I said, it's all going to be okay. Everyone's going to know her, and you will speak in front of thousands.
And so what happened?
Oprah contacted her. I think it was like the next month or something. And she was sitting in front of Congress, in front of thousands, talking about it. That was the thing.
Mental health and the prescription medication.
Prescription suicide was a documentary or something that came out about that.
Wow.
My other really cool story is I'm a dork. I mean, I'm just not, I try to be cool, but I just have no coolness to me at all. My favorite group is like, I think Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys is a god, that kind of craziness. And I am out in Arizona, and I'm out in, I believe, Cave Creek. And there's a woman there. And I'm walking through, and I go, it's a beautiful home. It's a really nice place. And there are a couple of pictures all up along the wall I go, wow, that's a actor. That's a so-and-so.
Right.
I just didn't know what it was. So we're walking around, and I start to pick up stuff about the place. And I can hear this guy's voice in the back of my head. And he sounds just like this. Dude, tell her Murray. Tell her Murray. And I'm like, Murray? Murray States? What are you talking about? Murray. I wouldn't say it. I'd talk about everything else, and I can hear music in the background in my head.
Right.
And I'm feeling very comfortable. I hear, dude, tell her Murray. And in my head, I'm going, the only Murray I've ever heard of is Murray Wilson. Murray Wilson was the father of the Beach Boys.
Okay.
And he was there's all big stories about him. But I'm going, this lady didn't know it all. Why would I even say that? Again, I hear it. Almost a yell, dude, tell her Murray. And I go, all I get, ma'am, is over and over again is Murray. And the only Murray I know is like Murray Wilson. And she goes, what did you say? I said, Murray Wilson. She goes, we lived across the street from the Beach Boys in Hawthorne. My sister dated Dennis. That's why I kept hearing. And I wanted to ignore that because of my own thing. It'd be like if you love the Beatles or Ja Rule or whatever, you would be like, oh, that can't make sense.
Right.
But yeah, I have plenty of those stories.
Right. So let's pick one more. Let's pick another a question. It's interesting how. So would you say that you hear more like voices or the cards are speaking to you? Like, or is it kind of a mixture of both?
I have learned to communicate with my guides. It isn't like the cards are talking to me. It's more like if you believe in guides, angels, any of that. So I do hear voices. They don't sit there and go, you need to go in that McDonald's and take that cashier out. No, it isn't like that at all. But
it's people who've gone to the other side that are talking to you if you're in that area.
Now, here's something else. You have your guides, your spirit guides, your guardian angels. They kind of work with you and your soul to get you to wherever you need to be.
Right.
Dead people are not smart unless they were smart in life. Like, I have people come up to say, my grandmother, she cool. What's the lottery number? I'm going, she wouldn't know it before. Why would she know it now? Or they'll ask me and go like, we're thinking about developing this kind of car. And I go, but your dad was a baker. He's not going to tell you what to do. Right. So you get that a lot.
Gotcha. So the next question, have you ever done a reading for yourself that completely changed your perspective?
Wow, there's going to be a lot of people who know me that know what I don't read myself.
Right. It's probably hard to do.
Well, we all have a filter. And I went through something a year and a half ago that was pretty bad, and I just wouldn't use the cards because the cards may have stalled my own healing or whatever that was supposed, because I would have been more focused on this thing here instead of what this long-term outcome would have been.
Right.
I know people who buy cards and they read their cards every day. I will not.
Right.
I won't do that.
I always thought and heard that it's not good to do that.
It's
because
not.
it's like you're bringing in other like bad. You could bring in bad energy too.
Well, it's called wasting your time. It would be like if, you were taking a karate class and your karate instructor, sensei or whatever, said you are only to practice on Thursdays and you do it every single day. Something bad's going to happen, but you were already told not to.
Right.
First of all, it takes all the magic out of your life.
Right.
If you're doing we were doing a reading yesterday and I told you this path looks good and you ask me about it again on the next day, that means A, you're not trusting what's going on, or B,
it's like you're trying to, it's like you're trying to find the answer that you want.
Right. Trust me. And many people try to
Right.
do that.
Right.
If I read it again in an hour, maybe she'll come back or he'll come back. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
You are doing some stuff out of the social. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I don't think that's nasty. No.
No, you're doing some readings out of the social. That's actually, I saw you pop up on Facebook, on your Facebook Live, and I was like, oh my God, I remember him. And you were cracking me up. I was like, literally, I usually like just say swipe. And I was like, I'm watching this.
That is a funny story too. And Don Moore, who owns the social,
Right.
His son, they want me to come by.
Right.
Because I hear you're back in town. So I come back and I'm with Allison Prettyman at the time, who is an Akashic reader. She's a mandala artist. I mean, she's very in tune, way too in tune. I mean, she's just same abilities. She just doesn't do the mediumship. We go in and she goes, huh. And I'm sitting there. We're getting ready to talk to Don. And I see a woman walk through the wall of the social with a white top on and a green bottom dress that has pleats in it. And this is all bunched up around this. And Allison's eyebrows going up like this. I'm looking like this. And I go, I think I saw what I just saw.
Did she see it too?
She did not see it. She was feeling things. Her back was looking up at stuff because this place is full.
Oh, yeah. I get this chills every time I walk in there.
And I'm like, this is full. I see that evidently. I told them, I just saw this woman with this green, because we think that's the funeral director's wife. And we're sitting there and I hear this, where's Mikey? I go, where's Michael? Where's Michael? Something like that. And I keep hearing it. And they go, well, Michael's not here. Michael walks right past the window. He's a live guy. He's one of their cooks.
Okay.
And so Allison goes, we could clear this place. We could clear it of the spirits. Just as soon as she said that, I hear this, no. I could hear it throughout the entire place. They didn't want to go.
Right. They're all trapped in there.
No, there's many stories to the social.
Right.
But the spirits that take up most of the space, it's almost like CBS's Paramount's show Ghosts.
Okay.
It's like they're there from different time periods. Right. We have done other things with the social that tell us other things. But for the most time, the spirits that really inhabit that place love that place.
Right.
They enjoy all that activity.
And as long as they're good ghosts, then they're not being demonic.
Some of them are a little naughtier than others. You got to remember, it's been, many, many generations of things that have gone through that.
And for just to let people who don't know the social, it's in Westchester. It's on Gay Street. It used to be Smith Funeral Home, and I don't know what it was before that.
Wasn't
it was always a funeral home.
An oyster house or something back in the day?
Before social? Doc McGrogan's, yeah. Yes. But then before that, it was Smith Funeral Home.
It was also a flower place at one time, and they all have their own stories. The busboys don't like going downstairs to where the crematorium was.
Okay.
That just ice cold.
Well, I know some other places in Westchester that are totally, because I bartended years ago at the Chancery, which is where Barnaby's is. And that used to be the old police station. and we used to have to go down and put the jail cell was down there. It still is down there.
I think
freaky.
Barnaby's has been haunted since the caveman days. That place is just like,
I would be there by myself, locking up at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the hair on the back of my neck, I would be running through there, locking up everything. It was just enough to get out of there. It freaked me out.
I have been the worst place. If you said there's a place that I don't like, most of it I like. Mm-hmm. There's a place called the Sinatra Room
in the social.
In the social, that is there's just something not right there.
Is that the back room?
When you walk in the front door, you go to the first right, make another go in.
Back in that front room? Yeah, I don't like eating back. It's always cold up there.
Michelle has done this kind of ghost story thing out of there, and I've been in there. You can feel it. It's just, everything has its own. I tried to sit there to interview on my podcast, the Mandala artist I was talking about. We couldn't sit there. I felt like I want to pull my skin off. It was just, everywhere else is great. It's funny. It's loving. It's kind of jokey.
Where do you usually do your podcast when you go in there? Is it right when you walk in the door, or do you go up in the back room?
We try to do it in that front window. Now, the last couple of months, I haven't done it as much. Well, you guys know what it's going to be like trying to get people to commit to doing podcasts and that kind of stuff. It's not like this studio in here. Everything's quiet. I have to go back in and try to edit all that background noise out, but I can get it done. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting ready to do more shows here in the wintertime and the summer too, because it's so nice out there.
Right. So the next question I pulled was, and we already had that, what's your favorite card in the deck? So that one's out. Do you feel that there's a certain cards that follow a person showing up repeatedly? Do you ever see that happen? If I came to you every 6 months, is there a certain card that would always come up on that person that is
If I'm a good reader, the cards are probably going to describe what the transition has been like over those last 6 months. Now, stubborn people, you might see those same cards coming up again. You'll see the same cards. Yes, you will.
Especially if they're in a relationship that's not good. It's
especially if they haven't taken any action that's going,
Right.
That is the thing about being an intuitive coach as well. I'm a psychic medium, but I'm also doing coaching.
Right. We'll talk about that a little bit. Talk about your coaching. What I know, I think that's what when we first met, we kind of started doing a whole life coaching thing. And that was a long time ago.
Here's where I sound old and stupid at the same time. In 2001, right, in the beginnings of Google, all of that, I needed to come up for a name, and I just thought the name psychic was just done.
Right.
I said, well, there's coaches, people do coaching. I go, well, I'm an intuitive life coach. I never saw it on Google until 2 or 3 years later. So my thing is, I'm using my intuitive abilities to help people get through things. But it isn't like me doing a reading every single time. Because if somebody's seeing, they will come to me for coaching, go, Rick, I'm still, cussing my partner out every day. Mm-hmm. Well, you're doing that because of this. If I hear a guidance, I will share it in that kind of session. Right. I've worked with a lot of real estate agents, a lot of police officers, nurses. Police officers I was very, very surreal about.
That's shocking to me. I could see nurses. I could see realtors because we're kind of weird people anyway.
My nurses are my favorite.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Because they're the ones that are always surrounded by dead souls.
Okay.
Most of the nurses that I have worked with have gone through something.
Right.
They tend to carry a lot on their shoulders, and they don't know how to get rid of stuff that's connected to them. So, they're very tired. And a lot of those spirits, they're the last thing that some of these humans see before they pass on.
Right.
And if they're not passing on correctly, they tend to attach
Themselves to the nurses?
to the nurses.
Oh, wow.
I'll see that every once in a while.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other profession other than nurses? Like, do you see doctors or
Firemen,
firemen?
doctors, yeah, nurses.
So with the police officers, what do you see with that? Like, what's that? That would be interesting. Like,
The best ghost stories are from police officers.
oh, really?
Yeah, because A, they don't get to really talk about it, and B, they know what I do, so they're like, man, what is that? And I said, that must be, this is such a haunted area.
Yeah, yeah.
Was talking to a police friend of mine that he's seen it, I've seen it. There's, on the top of Gay Street, right near the Social, every once in a while, right by if there's the post office and the Social is next to it, right there on the corner by Kava and the Greek restaurant there, you can smell horse dung. Really? Straw and horse dung. Every once in a while, it just smells like horse. We have seen, it looks like this guy with a bowler hat or something kicking the crap out of this person by this horse cart. And then you can smell and then it's gone.
Wow, that's interesting.
Now, those are probably more temporal apparitions. What's that? Temporal apparition is us looking through time at something that was happening 100 years ago.
Right.
Whereas, what
makes that come back? Like, what is that? How is that? Like, what channels that back?
That's when the whole world is changing now. There's a lot of stuff going on right now as we speak. So, the veil is getting thinner. Like your old Italian grandmas have probably been saying that for 40 years. But there's a lot of different stuff starting to happen. The drones and all of those things.
Yeah, stuff that we saw in the Jetsons and stuff. It's really starting to come to life. Those who don't know the Jetsons, look it up, Google it.
The 12-year-old over here. Everything's getting ready to speed up. AI is going to affect everything. And exponentially, things are going to just go like this. It won't take 30 years for us to get the flying car. Mm-hmm. It'll take 6 months. I think the average American, especially, is not good with change.
Right now?
People were talking about drones, and it didn't even occur to anyone that it was aliens don't use red and blue running lights on their drones.
Yeah. What color do you think they use? Yellow?
I don't think they use any colors.
Yeah.
Especially if they didn't want us to see them. So, drones are what we're going to use to find stuff. They're looking for something. That's why they do that.
Exactly.
Sorry, I was pontificating for a second.
So where do you see our society going to? And kind of elaborate what we were just talking about. What do you see in 5 years or 10 years? What's your gut? I guess you're going to say.
War.
Yeah.
There's always everything about money. Money is everything.
It's the root of all evil.
Well, here's what I would say. Money's not the root of all evil. The people who play with money are the evil. There's so much good you can create with money. Mm-hmm. But I think over the next 5 years, listen, people aren't even watching regular news anymore. Mm-hmm. They don't, anybody who's stupid enough to try to get their news from 30 seconds worth of a TikTok reel, they're never going to get information anyway. I think most people are just, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
You're lying to us.
Hypersensitive, and it's over the top.
And it's not even about left or right anymore. Mm-hmm. Both sides have been bullshitting us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Both sides have been bullshitting us. This is, I try to do good whenever I can with whoever I can. People don't understand that everything goes in cycles.
Oh, yeah.
The kids that are here right now are not the kids from the 1939, 1940s who went to World War II.
Right.
Could you imagine if Gen Zers were the ones that would have to go to war?
No.
They couldn't.
I love those like videos or the reels where the guy walks into the wall like from the Gen Xers and it's like, yeah, whatever. And then like the Gen Zers like, oh, mommy, it's like, not to put down the generations, guys, but it was a lot different if you grew up in the 70s and 80s than what it is now.
I'm going to say the book. I think, God, I'm going to get yelled at. It's The Fourth Something.
The Fourth Turning?
Yes. That book, I think everyone should read that.
Who wrote that one?
God, I forgot it too. And I have a colonel in the Marine Corps who basically is my therapist. And the very fact that I don't know the name of the author, I'm going to get my ass beat. But this is all cyclical.
Yeah.
This stuff happens like this. I mean, there will be heroes that come out of that generation, but you need a crisis to create that. Mm-hmm. Also, people need diversions. Mm-hmm. What would be the coolest diversion you could bring for this world now and the technology stuff that we're in? Aliens. It's not going to be it's not going to be left versus right or Kamala versus Trump or Joan versus Doug. It won't.
Yeah.
It has to be something that the whole world's going to get behind.
Right.
And I think that's the next thing that's coming in. It's going to teach the millennial parents something really important. All the shit that they were worried about from their Montessori schools on up wasn't what was important.
Right.
It would have been, and I say this like a Gen Xer, they should have been playing in the dirt, but it is what it is.
Right. Read the next one. Have you ever had a reading where the cards seem to have a sense of humor?
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course you did.
Most of my readings, well, you know, yes, some of them are hilarious. I just, some of them I can't even talk about. So they're, but.
Like embarrassing?
Oh, God, yes. Like, one woman had.
Let it go, Rick. We're all open
had
here.
Identified the girl who had cheated with her boyfriend based upon the tattoo on her ass. So she saw the tattoo sticking out. She had left the room and saw the tattoo on the bottom. And she goes, what does a shamrock or whatever it was mean?
Right.
Da-da-da-da. So, yeah.
And then that's how she figured out who the woman was?
Mm-hmm. Also, too, when I do mediumship, because we're really not really talking about the mediumship as much. I'm a medium, which means I connect people to those who've crossed over. Right. A lot of these guys are, the moms, the dads, the cousins. They have a sense of humor. They don't lose that.
Right.
It's
the same person that was when they were alive. When they die, they're the same. It's the same soul.
At the social was dead closed that day. Gunnar had allowed us to come in. We had divination rods. Mm-hmm. Dawn Hoffman and I, she uses those to read things, and we're sitting in there, and Gunnar and we're telling stories and we're looking at stuff and she's asking questions of the spirits. So we walk down the stairs and we walk into, and you remember, nobody's in the building. And we're standing there, and to the left and to the right, there's nothing. But right here, we smell pot. And I mean, marijuana. It was weed. It was like great. You could smell it. But it was only right here. And we go, that doesn't make any sense. It's not over there 30 feet away. It's not
like right there.
Right there. So she uses the divination rods. And she asks, we figure we'll just ask the old term, reefer.
Right.
She goes, have you guys ever heard of the term reefer? And the spirits, the rods go, yes. And then she asks, have you ever partook? Yes. So in that moment, that space, that spirit was a spirit who used marijuana. And we could actually smell it.
Wow.
There was nothing else going on. Those cooks weren't there. The place was closed. And unless there was a tube from somebody up on the very top floor all the way down, yeah.
Interesting. Is there any other places? I know we talked about Barnaby's a little bit. I know we're talking about Social, and we talked about the corn. Iron Hill. Really?
Iron Hill Brewery. I think there was an Army hospital or something there at some point. I have been in there with Sean Rosa, who is a friend of mine who's done haunted stories with me on my podcast, stuff like that. We were in there by ourselves. The only person in there was the bartender, and I think one of the cooks they were cleaning up. It was Sunday night. You could hear horse clopping all the way in the back. And could hear it again. And it wasn't somebody beating on a can. If you've been in Iron Hill, that little section is just dead quiet.
Right.
And you smell that horse thing again when you're in there.
So, folks, if you're in Westchester and you smell horse poop, there's a spirit lurking around.
Also, too, Blaze Salon.
Oh, down on Church Street?
Yeah.
Or the old one.
The old one.
Which now I think was Serum?
Yes. That, I have been in there when that salon, man, you could hear horse clatter, you could hear chains moving, and then one day one of the people there go, well, this used to be part of the stable.
Which would make sense.
I didn't know that, but that was there. Chester County Hospital.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
One day we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to get in too much trouble, but that place is.
The original building, obviously, because they built all that new stuff on there. I mean, it's huge now, but the original building has to be.
Here I'm mumbling. We're not supposed to talk about that, but yeah.
So how about any other place? What's the deal with Ouija boards?
Oh, I think every 2-year-old child should get their own. No, I hate Ouija boards.
I do too. I don't like them.
And there's going to be somebody who's going to hear and go, it's how you use them, and you're just making something. Fuck no. I don't use them, and I can't stand them. It is like using... It's just horrible. It's opening up a portal, and that portal is allowing anything to come through. And you'll find that a lot of the answers that are coming through are answers to get you in like that and keep you stuck.
Right.
I'm not a fan of them at all.
Yeah.
And if somebody's going to say, if you're using the wrong thing. No.
I had some interesting things with a Ouija board when I was like in 8th or 9th grade.
We all did it.
Yeah. But it was like, I never knew neighborhood that Brian and I actually live in, and that's the neighborhood I grew up in, was actually part of the Battle of the Cloud. And my friend and I were on the Ouija board in the neighborhood behind me, which would be part of that if there was any sort of battle. Mm-hmm. And we actually got a soldier he said he was like 15 and he died. And he was talking to us. And I'm like, how in the world? Like, I didn't know history like that. But now, like, thinking back, I'm like, that had to be part of the Battle of the Cloud, which was very interesting.
And the thing is once you bring that through, you're lucky that you just had a spirit that was like, hi.
Right.
I was 15.
He was getting into it, but it was, definitely. Oh, great. Cut. Literally, no pun intended. How about movies that portray, like, hauntings, like Poltergeist and The Shining, and
now
I don't even know any new ones lately, but The Nun, that whole series. Well, those people were real.
Listen, there's stuff out there, but I think a lot of it, like poltergeist, a lot of that is just Hollywood.
Right.
I think a lot of it's inaccurate. I mean, if it's, now there has been scary stuff.
Right.
Like I said, police officers have the best stories. Right. My friend was a Prince George's County TAC team officer for years. And he always tells about the story where there was a call to get to this house of B&E, but it was an abandoned house. There was nobody there. It was just owned. So, officers show up and they're even canine there because evidently you can hear something.
Right.
So they go in and, I know my friend, so I can't even repeat what he said, but he's like, please, sir, could you come down the stairs? We'd like to arrest you now. So they go in and they're like, freeze. And you can hear,
it's nobody.
Nobody. Sounds like a man walking on broken glass upstairs.
Huh.
And you go, we're not going to tell you again. We have dogs here. We will let the dogs up. Now, these are one of those houses, I guess, where the kitchen, there's a stairway going up like this. Down on the other end, there's another stairway.
Right.
So you can go up to that level.
Right.
This guy's still walking on the glass. He goes, and they're good. That's it. Let the dogs up. They let the dogs up. The dogs go up 4 feet and stop.
Oh my
they
God.
Will not go up. If you know anything about nothing would stop them. They
right.
figure they're going to get extra treats if they get this guy.
Right.
And then by this time, the cops go, this is ridiculous. We're coming up.
Yeah.
I don't think they're coming out. Screw that. They have flashlights out. They pull their guns out. And all you can see on each end of the hallway are flashlights. There's nothing in the hallway.
Oh, that's weird.
There's nothing in the hallway. So yeah, that's.
So when a person is coming, I know there's always like symbols and stuff, but like, what's the most common symbol, like that someone from the went to the other world comes back, and what's a symbol that you commonly hear from people? Like I just had one. I'm flipping a house in Chester County in Downingtown, and the people I bought it from, they actually are ghost hunters too, which is kind of cool. They do their own thing, but they said that their daughter passed on, and they kept seeing a black butterfly. And if I saw the black butterfly, it's just their daughter. And they kept seeing this black butterfly over the years since she passed.
Because it's their particular sign. The thing that upsets people sometimes, because they're coming, I saw a cardinal. It's my Aunt Matilda. And I go, it's springtime, and you have a bird feeder, and there are nothing but cardinals out here.
Right.
I usually tell people a sign or something that's a little different. Like, that's just kind of a wives' thing about the...
Right.
I would say certain denominations of coins are a good way for spirit to do that. Certain birds, like if you saw a cardinal in Japan and they didn't have cardinals, yes, that would be a sign. Or if it was a cardinal, it'd be a picture of a cardinal on a TV screen, the side of a truck. It wouldn't be just the natural cardinal. It'd be a big deal. I'm sorry if that answered your question.
No, it's just interesting because people are always saying, I see symbols, it's that person. I didn't know if there was a common denominator. I know cardinals is like the one.
The one, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your business now and some of the things that you're doing as far as like showcasing your business. And so people know who you are. And
did I give you the shirt?
Yeah, you put it down there.
Did I give it to you?
You gave it to me. I gave it back to you.
Oh.
Where did you put it?
I don't know. Oh, here it is. So
I was going to say, did Brian take it?
Yeah, if I'd have known, I'd have gotten you one, Brian. I have a branding line. I have the clothing that we have. We have hoodies, all of that. Some of my clothing is at La Chic in Westchester. Yeah. And, we have our Reiki-infused bracelet.
Yes, she's
Alicia,
awesome.
She's
awesome.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have that going on. I do my lives every week. It's been kind of tough because trying to keep alive every single week at the same time every week. I'm finding that through Instagram and Facebook, it's better when I do it impromptu.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that would work for YouTube, but that's where I'm at. The Oracle cards are coming out another month.
Okay.
That people can use. My office is in Westchester, right across from Marshall Park there.
Yeah.
I'm rickywood.net, RICKYWOOD.net. You can schedule there. Westchester has been a really cool ride.
Right.
I mean, here's where I got started and I left.
Right.
And now
you circled back
to being back here now.
What's the correlation with Arizona to Westchester? Like what, going back and forth, or do you not want to discuss that?
No, man, let's not talk about Arizona. My ex and I moved to Arizona 15, 12 years ago. And we had family out there. But that did not work out because family moved away. They went here, and it was hot. So my stepdaughter was making some moves to go back to the East Coast. So we said, we'll go back to East Coast. And we decided to come back here. I moved back here. Mm-hmm. And then I fell down the stairs and had a heart attack.
Oh, jeez.
So that was like almost 2 years of recovery.
Wow.
But I was still like, I do sessions now. I mean, I'm working. My life is.
Did you see a lot of haunted stuff out there compared to, because it's, there's a different history, so to speak.
It's a different kind. I felt a lot more native stuff when I was out there than I do out here. Also, a lot of more blood and guts. I don't know why, but I would be in certain places in Tempe. I was in Tempe, Arizona, and I was in this one store, and she goes, this part of the store is where they would treat. It was not to, remember, they didn't have a hospital.
Right.
It would have been a room where it had a table on it and somebody had bled all over it.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff that I would pick up on. Here, it's much more haunted, much more together like this, like families, all of that stuff. There have been a lot of battles and stuff, but there's Indian stuff there all over. And when you're out in nature, it's pretty wild. I mean, it can be overwhelming. The spirits that are out there are grander than what I'm used to.
Wow.
That's where you get a sense of when they start to talk about spirit elders and that kind of thing, you get that big thing, not dead Uncle Steve.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about your symbol, on what made you pick this. And
what's interesting about Spiritual Dust Story is that I I was just moved to the area, and I figured I would go for walks, enjoy the area and breathe in the fresh air. But I was brokenhearted at the time, just not doing well. And I go for walks, but I noticed my leg would hurt. Right. But I'd still, keep going, keep walking. Right. I would do that. And my stomach started hurting the next day. And so for 2 months, they were treating me for GERD. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't GERD. So I had the heart attack. And as I was, I stayed with two. The Petticones were a family that took care of me. I did not have to convalesce in some nursing home or something for a month. These ladies took care of me, hook, line, and sinker. And then a friend of mine who, I call him the Colonel, I told him, I might want to do a podcast. I'll use my voice more. I want to talk more. And so I decided to do it. And then online, I said, I need a name for it. I did a contest. Oh. So a person came up with that name. And they had won the contest, got a reading with me. And then the next day, Kristen McQuillan, she's a godsend, she sent me that logo. She goes, I don't know why. I woke up in the middle of the night or whatever, and I put it together. I hope I'm not being too... I go, what?
That's awesome.
I go, no, I'll take it. And then I sit there and I go, I could make shirts out of it or something like that. And she's not saying anything. I go through Shopify and all of that stuff to start. And, I was just getting better. So I started, but I just didn't have the wherewithal to do it. So as I'm starting to heal, I just kind of let it go. I called Kristen again, and Kristen goes, I do that kind of stuff.
She never let you know?
She never let me know. And I went...
So Kristen makes these shirts then? She
does the drop shipping for them. My shirts they're better quality than you would get from that. Our hoodies are Canva Bella.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. That's why Lisa took them, because they were well done. We use a lot of the local people here as models.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen you it's on your Facebook page, I believe.
Facebook. It's on Instagram.
Instagram is where, I've seen it. Yeah.
So, I have Earthspeak over in Chester Springs carries my bath salts and the clearing candle that people use. It's that stuff, the spray. So
now, where's that located in Chester Springs?
God, I don't know where that's located.
Because I want to get some clearing candles.
No, but I actually have it on my... Everything's available at rickywood.net too, online. But that's what I've been up to, just making a bigger name.
Yeah.
And I've surrounded myself with some of the coolest healers. You would think that California and Arizona would be like we're all... Westchester has its own really neat community. I'm blessed.
We're a unique bunch of people here in Westchester, in Chester County.
It is very different here. Westchester is a microcosm of what's getting ready to come. Mm-hmm. This could be the good outcome. There's just something about here. You've been there in the summertime. It wouldn't matter. You could be black, white, green, yellow. Everybody's still waving. How you doing, Bob? How are you?
Yeah.
Oh, were you down at Carlino's? Yes, I was. And they're getting their coffee and going with their day. Yeah. You would not see that 40 miles from here.
West or north. Yeah, I hear you.
Either way.
Either way.
If it's east, you'll just run into the water. So it's but no, this is...
It's a good place.
It's a good place. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. I mean, going into my real estate mode right now, I mean, West Goshen for years was one of the top places to raise your family, just based on like the parks and the schools and the neighborhoods and just the whole everything that it has to offer. It is a good place. I mean, and they also, Westchester University, if people don't know this, that it is the only university in the PASHE system where they retain... The students stay here after they graduate, so they retain the residents here. Wow. Or like you go to IUP, those people, they're like, I'm out, because you're in the middle of a cornfield. Most of the Bloomsburg, same place. All these other Shippensburg, they're all in the middle of nowhere. Westchester's probably one of the only schools that I can think of that's you're close to Philadelphia, you're close to Wilmington, you're close to the beach. It's a lot of stuff going on. So
I had a friend of mine who came to visit who... was running 2 different nonprofits.
Yeah, go ahead.
And she says she loves it here. She came here from LA and now she's staying. So she really likes it out here.
Oh, okay. So Brian wanted to ask, do you feel any presence in this room? Do you feel like an energy in here other than me and Brian? And our 12-year-old kid over here. He said it, not me.
You got a decade.
I'm joking.
To tell you what I feel more in this building is more the crises that go on with people on the floor than it is about a ghost that's going on here. don't feel like I feel one guy, but there could have been somebody here who had a heart attack and died, and that could have been in the last 30 years.
Right.
Here, what I get is all the bullshit, the stuff that people go through.
And we have several different businesses here. I mean, we have a massage, we have an esthetician. I think we have insurance. Is there an insurance person, accountant, then real estate. There's a lot of bullshit with real estate.
There's someone in here dealing with a recent death. So I don't know, but it's on this floor.
Me.
Oh, well, you're right across from me.
Yeah. Like how recent? Like 2 months, 3 months? July?
The hell is wrong with you?
I don't know.
Recent enough. No, the way it comes to me is within the last year. So that's, but like if I started reading you here live,
No, we're not doing that.
You're going to start crying. But you don't give yourself enough credit, woman. You are good at what you do.
Thank you. I tried
You can shut up now, Rick.
I know.
You didn't come on here for this.
This isn't the Susan Mattern show. This is the Rick Wood show. Come on.
I'll have you on my show and then I'll put you through this stuff. Always just don't let anybody rain on your parade. You're not here to impress anybody. You wear what you want, do what you want, say what you want.
Oh, yeah. I'm starting to, in my 50s, get more and more like that. I was always like that, but now even more.
Yeah, that's what I like about here. You see that.
Yeah.
Somebody
It's
could dress
real.
like a hippie if they want to, or they could be in a suit and tie. It just doesn't matter.
Right.
Nobody gives you crap.
So to wrap things up here, who should come and see you? Like who, I mean, we talked about nurses and police officers, but.
Everybody. I would say I don't do curses on people or anything like that. Yeah. I don't tell you when you're going to die. Unless, if you have an illness or something, right. I say you might want to get that checked out. People in transition, people who want to create something different for themselves, people who need to learn to accept themselves for who they are. There's a lot of problems with people trying to change to fit in when it should have always been the other way around. I work with a lot of teens. Of course, I work with college students too. I do couples counseling as well.
Yeah. I feel like this was awesome. Thank you so much.
This was badass. Thank you. This really was very nice.
And if anybody wants to go check out Rick in person at the Social Lounge once a month, once a week.
Did you call Don up or something and say, get Rick to...
I haven't seen him in a while.
I will start to do it in February. I think that I'll start
when the weather's not as freezing cold out.
Or at least there's not like 2 inches of ice like there's supposed to be this weekend.
Yeah, right.
So, but I can't thank you guys enough for it was fun. It really was. Your 12-year-old is wonderful. I mean, just...
Yeah, and I mean, 2025, just the last question, like we talked about war and all that stuff, but like 2025, I feel like this is going to be a much better year than... I thought 2024 professionally was good for me. Personally, it probably wasn't, but I feel like this year is going to be the year that everything's good. No?
I can't. What is wrong with you real estate people?
I know we have to do that.
You do it every year. Every year you go, this the year. Everybody gonna be fine. This is when my dog and I are gonna get that second house. This is not that year.
Okay.
For you, you'll be okay. You just have to do what you always do. But AI is going to change everything exponentially.
Yeah, I know. I'm already seeing it. Yep.
I would say within the real estate market, the people who are aggressive about their social media presence and who take it to the next level will survive. Those people who just started taking classes 2 years ago and just thought they put something on the back of a shopping cart and this will be okay, no.
No, yeah.
And diversify, diversify, diversify.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Your clientele. I'm sorry, that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It
everyone.
was a pleasure.
And if everybody hasn't been on that What's Happening Chesco, there's 13,000 followers on that group site on Facebook and Instagram. So
Did you get my good side?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So go on to What's Happening Chesco and to rickywood.net.